Welcome to Lesson 1-3, Order of Operations. Earlier we talked about taking a trip to Michigan, and you guys helped me figure out what distance I traveled. Well, today we're going to talk about what I did when I was there. Well, while I was in Michigan, I went to Mackinac Island. On this island, there's no cars, only bikes and horses. So I rented a bike to tour the island. You had to pay a $5 deposit and then $6 for every hour that you rented the bike. And I used the bike for 4 hours. How much was my total bill? Now, the $5 deposit is not refundable. That's something that you pay just for them to give you the bike. And then when you return the bike, then you have to pay the $6 for every hour. Now, in order to do this correctly, you're going to have to use the order of operations. Now, right now, I'm sure there's many of you going, I don't know what order of operations is, but I know you do once I say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And then the light bulbs come on and everybody smiles because you know exactly what I'm talking about. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally stands for parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. What I want you to remember when you're looking at this is the order of operations. Parentheses does not just mean the parentheses. It also means brackets. Okay, any type of grouping symbol falls into this category of parentheses. Okay, then we go to exponents, then multiply and divide. Those go together from left to right, and add and subtract do as well. Those go left to right. You don't go through, do all the multiplication, then all the division. You multiply and divide together from left to right, and add and subtract together from left to right. Okay, now that we did a quick review, let's go and solve how much did I have to pay for this bicycle. Alright, well, I had to pay $5 deposit, because that's what it says right here, pay a deposit of $5. Plus, I had to pay $6 for every hour. Okay? So, if I had to pay, it says $5 plus. Well, so I know it's $5 plus $6 for every hour. So, I'm going to add to that $6. Now, how many hours did I use the bike? For 4 hours. Okay? So, 6 times 4 is how much I'll have to pay for the usage per hour. How are we going to solve this? Well, please excuse, there's no parentheses, there's no exponents. My dear, now we have to look for multiplication and division. So here we have addition, so we're going to skip that. Here we have multiplication, so we do 6 times 4 would come first. So we're going to have 5 plus, and what is 6 times 4? Yeah, 24. So 5 plus 24 is 29. Okay, so it costs $29 to rent the bike for 4 hours. Now, if you would have done this with no regards to the order of operations, you would have come up with $44, and you would have had a lot of angry customers. So, right here, the order of operations, very important, $29 to rent the bikes. Or on the other hand, if you were renting the bike and they charged you $44, then you could give them a lesson in order of operations. Okay, let's do another example with a variable. I have an equation here, an expression. I have 3x squared plus 1 when x equals 4. So remember the 3 steps. Write, substitute, simplify. Okay, so first I'm going to write, 3x squared plus 1. Then I'm going to substitute. What am I substituting? Right here, x equals 4. So x is taking a vacation day. We're throwing 4 on in there. And remember, that is squared plus 1. Okay? So do not forget, when you are substituting, you need to put parentheses in when you have a multiplication like this, because otherwise it's going to look like 34 squared. Okay? You want to make sure that you know the 4 is the only one who's squared here. So, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Parentheses, it's just a 4. Exponents. Yep, we got one right here. So, that's going to turn into 3 times 16 plus 1. Okay, because remember, an exponent means how many times you multiply it by itself. And 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, then we're going to take 3 times 16. Don't even think of grabbing your calculators, because you guys can do this one. Okay, 3 times 6 is, it's 18. Then 1 times 3 is 3, plus 1 is 48. Okay, Once again, if you don't know those basic facts, I really encourage you to work on those, okay? At this point, I assume you guys know all your basic addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So, when we add 48 plus 1, we come up with 49. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this lesson because I know when I taught it last year in 8th grade, many of you rolled your eyes and deep sighs because you've done this so much. So we're just going to go real quick over it just to review, kind of refresh your memories, okay? 24 minus 8 minus 6. Well, remember, here we have one operation. We only have subtraction, right? So remember, we're going to go from left to right. So left is over here, and we're going to move to the right, which is this direction, towards the equal sign. Okay, so 24 minus 8, that's 16. And what's left over here? We have a minus 6 left over. So 16 minus 6 is, yeah, that's 10. Okay, it's very important that you go from left to right. Alright, let's do another example. This example is a little trickier. We have a division bar here, or a fraction bar. When you have those, I want you to solve the numerator, I want you to solve the denominator, or simplify, and then pay attention to the fact that it's a fraction, okay? I don't want this fraction bar throwing you. Just look at one, then look at the other. So you could always even cover it up if it kind of distracts you that you have another one sitting there waiting for you. You could always just say, okay, wait a minute. All I have is 7 times 4. What is 7 times 4? Yeah, that's 28. So that's simplified. Okay, now we'll deal with the denominator. Our denominator is a little trickier. We have 8 plus 7 squared minus 1. So let's go through, and please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please meaning any grouping symbols. Parentheses, brackets, do we have any? No, so we can go to the next thing. What's the next thing? Excuse, which is exponents, and we have one right here, which is 7 squared. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write my 8 plus. What is 7 squared? 7 times 7 is, yep, 49. And then I have a minus 1. Okay, now remember, with addition and subtraction, you just follow it left to right. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite my 28, my numerator up here. 8 plus 49 is, yep, 57. 57, and we have minus 1. So our answer here is 28 over 56. Now, remember, when you leave an answer as a fraction, you always, always, always want to put it in lowest terms. Okay, this is not in lowest terms. You can tell just by looking at it because they're both even numbers. And that'll tell you, wait a minute, I know at least I could take a 2 out. So let's throw it up in our stair steps. And if you don't know the stair step method, make sure you stop by and talk to me because it's really handy. You can figure out your greatest common factor, your least common multiple, your simplest fraction. This is really a good method to use, okay? So since we saw they were both even, let's take out a 2. So 2 times what is 28? 14. Or you could say 2 goes into 2 once and 2 goes into 8 4 times. Okay, then let's divide 56 by 2. 56 divided by 2, you'd have 28. Okay, well, they're still even, so let's take out another 2. 2 times what is 14? 7. And 2 times what is 28? 14. Okay, now what do they have in common? I see a prime number here. That's 7. Does 7 go into 14? Yeah, it does. It does twice. So 7 goes once, 7 goes here twice. Right there, that's our simplest fraction. So then you're going to rewrite 28 over 56 as 1/2. And those of you who've done your stair steps for a couple years with me, it should be old news. This should be super quick. And if you don't know the stair steps, please make sure you see me during study hall, lunchtime, before school, after school, and I can go over this with you because this will really make simplifying fractions easy for you, okay? Alright, that is all the time I'm going to spend on order of operations. If you want extra practice problems, back of your book, page 783, there's some more. So thank you, and don't forget to please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.